news broadcast begin to you live from the National News Studios here at Rupavahini. We're ready to bring you the top stories here at home and around the world. I'm Charita Midupurarachi.
And I'm Kasini Balachandra Adhikari. We start off with a look at your headlines for tonight.
The interim vote on account for the first 4 months of next year presented in Parliament. Rice and coconut made available to areas in Colombo and suburbs. Sri Lanka Customs has earned the highest annual tax income in the history. The President says that a conducive environment has been created for investments with political stability attained at present. Submission of income and expenditure reports of those who contested in the election ends by midnight tomorrow. A high foreign exchange earning from the export of vanilla. Political crisis in South Korea further aggravates.
And we move on to those and other stories in detail in your top local story tonight. An interim budget for the first 4 months of next year was presented in Parliament today.
And a sum of nearly 1,402 billion rupees has been estimated for this budget.
This interim budget was presented to manage essential expenditure of the government and to maintain the debt servicing continuously during the first 4 months of the next year. A sum of 220 billion rupees has been allocated for the Ministry of Transport, Highways, Ports and Civil Aviation Services. The amount set aside for the Ministry of Defence is 142.09 billion rupees. The amount given to the Ministry of Finance, Planning and Economic Development is 186 billion rupees. A sum of 3.7 billion rupees has been allocated for the Ministry of Digital Economy. 170.47 billion rupees will be given to the Ministry of Public Administration, Provincial Councils and Local Government. 92 billion rupees has been allocated for the Ministry of Education, Higher Education and Vocational Education. The amount set aside for the Ministry of Health and Mass Media is 161.99 billion rupees. Ministry of Agriculture, Livestock, Lands and Irrigation have been given a sum of 67.36 billion rupees. The Ministry of Justice and National Integration will be receiving a sum of 17.2 billion rupees. 5.9 billion rupees have been allocated to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Foreign Employment and Tourism. The Ministry of Power will get 4.3 billion rupees from the interim budget. A sum of 17 billion rupees has been allocated to the Ministry of Urban Development, Constructions and Housing. The amount allocated to the Ministry of Rural Development, Social Welfare and Community Empowerment is 9.4 billion rupees and 4.4 billion rupees have been allocated for the Ministry of Industries and Entrepreneurship Development. The Ministry of Public Defence and Parliamentary Affairs will receive 65 billion rupees.
And the two-day debate on the mini-budget presented by the government with a 4,000 billion rupee borrowing limit commenced this morning. The resolution seeks parliamentary authority for 4,197 billion rupees to be paid from the consolidated fund, including for debt service and repayment.
The leader of the House, Minister Bimal Ratnaika, presented the interim vote on account in the Parliament this morning. He stated that the revised terms of the agreement reached with the International Monetary Fund would be included in the upcoming budget. He said that the government would have to work within the framework of the International Monetary Fund in the next 3 years. Within that, the government hopes to make revisions so that the people of the country will know those revised terms through the budget, he explained. Opposition parliamentarian Kabir Hashim said that the government should obtain parliamentary approval for the debt sustainability agreement with international sovereign bond holders before implementing it. Speaking during the debate on the vote on account in the House today, Parliamentarian Hashim said MPs should know the details on the debt sustainability agreement. Minister Sunil Handunethe said that the government has decided to relocate several public institutions currently housed in rented buildings to state-owned premises, aiming to reduce the financial burden of high rental payment. Minister Handunethe announced the decision during the debate. He further said that the present government had to abide by the agreements reached by the previous regime with various parties, although those accords were not along with the policies of the new government. Minister Professor Anil Jayanta Fernando said that Sri Lanka has placed a borrowing limit of 4,000 billion rupees in a 4-month vote on account in case the restructuring of international sovereign foreign bonds are delayed beyond December 31st. Deputy Sri Lanka expects to wrap a debt exchange by December 31st. But if there are any technical delays, the board on account provides for new bonds to be issued in 2025.
And meanwhile, the Sri Lanka Customs has earned a recorded tax income of 1.38 trillion rupees this year. This year, nearly 90% of the targeted amount. The year, this information was revealed at a media briefing held in Colombo today. Additional Director General of the Sri Lanka Customs, Sivali Arugguda, said that this year's tax income target is 1.53 trillion rupees. He said that from this target, the Sri Lanka Customs has already accumulated 1.38 trillion rupees by yesterday. He added that it is over 90% of the total. He further said that therefore the Sri Lanka Customs expects to collect entire target within the next year. He also said that when considering this amount, it is the highest tax income collected by the Sri Lanka Customs. Views were expressed here regarding the release of containers as well. Additional Director General of Sri Lanka Customs, Sivali Arugguda, said that in releasing containers from the Colombo harbour, there is a difficulty to release a large number of containers to the road network at a time. He said that if you release a large number of vehicles at a time, there will be heavy traffic congestion, causing inconvenience to the public. He added that to ease the congestion, the Sri Lanka Customs released container vehicles only from one gate. He further said that the gate of the Jaya container terminal was also open from yesterday with the help of the police to ease the congestion. He also said that it is open from 9 p.m. to 6 a.m. of the following day. Sivali Arugguda said that due to this move, the container congestion within the harbour will also be eased. He said that on the other hand, the government will import a large stock of rice to minimize the shortage of rice in the market. He added that Sri Lanka Customs has decided to follow a special system to release these rice stocks as early as possible, considering the urgent need of the consumers. He also said that the Customs expects to release rice stocks within a shorter period of time for 4 hours after unloading in the harbour.
President Kumar Dissanayake emphasized that he regards the media not as outsiders but as an integral part of the effort to build a better state and improve the lives of all citizens. He made these remarks during a meeting held today with the heads of electronic media organizations at the Presidential Secretariat. The President highlighted that the people expect a good political culture and elected the current government to fulfill that expectation. He invited all media organizations to collaborate in fostering the new political, social and economic changes that the people desire. Additionally, President Dissanayake urged media heads to refrain from reporting false information that could harm national harmony, while affirming that the media has the right to question or criticize the government on political and economic matters. He stressed the importance of responsible reporting. Recalling the country's history of enduring decades of war, the president declared that racism would never be permitted again. He also assured that he would not compromise or restrict media freedom in any way. During the media, the president elaborated on the government's stance on several critical issues under public discussion. He outlined programs such as the initiative to eradicate poverty, a pressing issue, and the Clean Sri Lanka program. The event was attended by members of the Sri Lanka Broadcasters Guild, along with senior officials including heads of electronic media institutions, group directors, chief executive officers and general managers. And President Kumar Dissanayake says that with the political stability that has prevailed in the country today, an environment suitable for investment has been created. The President made these remarks during a discussion held with senior officials of the BOI at the Presidential Secretariat today. The President further emphasized that there will be no political influence in granting new investment opportunities, such as those based on political affiliations. The President assured that the Board of Investment of Sri Lanka would be granted full autonomy to attract clean investments that are beneficial to the country. President Dissanayake emphasized the importance of achieving both political and financial stability in the country. He stated that the Board of Investment bears a significant responsibility in this regard. The President further stressed that the BOI must remain committed to fulfilling its assigned duties effectively. He assured that the BOI would be granted full independence to attract investors who can bring meaningful benefits to the nation. Additionally, the President announced that the upcoming budget would prioritize provisions to enhance the BOI's efficiency. Plans are also underway to establish 5 new investment zones across the country next year. President Secretary Dr. Nandika Samathkumanayaka, Chairman of Sri Lanka Board of Investment Arjuna Herath, Director General Renuka Veerakoda, Kone and a group of officials also attended the meeting.
The chairman of the Lanka Sathosa, Dr. Samita Perera, says the distribution of rice and coconut in Colombo and suburbs has been commenced. He told media that it is being done efficiently through the Lanka Sathosa network. Lanka Sathosa chairman Dr. Samita Perera said that steps have been taken to distribute the stocks of rice and coconut to Sathosa outlets today. He further said that, however, one customer will only be allowed to purchase 3 coconuts and 5 kilos at rice at one. Dr. Samita Perera also said that public can purchase rice and coconuts from Sathosa outlets in Colombo from this evening and in suburbs from tomorrow. Coconut will be sold at 130 rupees each, and one person can buy 3 coconuts and one person can buy 3 kilograms of rice. According to Lanka Sathosa, tenders have been called for the import of rice and a large number of stocks would be released to the market in the future. In the meantime, according to our correspondent, traders have arrived in the Hatton town to sell stocks of coconuts from various areas.
And it has been requested in the Parliament today to provide information regarding the bar licence permits presented in the Parliament yesterday. Parliamentarian Rasamanikam Chanakyan made these observations, joining the debate on supplementary estimate and the interim vote on account. Parliamentarian Rasamanikam Chanakyan said that he needs an explanation from Leader of the House and the Chief Government Whip. He thanked for presenting the bar permit list yesterday and added it has been done properly. He also said that he is anxious to know the number of applications handed over along with those bar permits and the location of the recommendation letters. He added that it has been said that an investigation would be held in this regard and wanted to know whether it would be held by the CID, the police or the Presidential Secretariat. He pointed out that 18 bar permits have been issued in Kilinochchi district in an area where around 100,000 were present. He added that this amounts to 1 bar permit per 5,000. He questioned whether these bar permits would be cancelled considering this reason, and also whether the reports of investigations regarding bar permits where more than 300 were available would be handed to them. He requested to provide information in this regard.
And on the same note, President Anura Kumara Dissanayake has directed officials to follow a proper mechanism when issuing excise license. These instructions were given during a meeting with senior excise department officials at the Presidential Secretariat today. The President stressed the importance of not abusing power to act unlawfully and emphasized the need to consistently uphold the law. He also urged officials to ensure timely tax collection. The discussion highlighted challenges in collecting excise taxes and the irregularities that arise in the process. New strategies were explored, including collecting overdue taxes, revoking license of blacklisted institutions and addressing entities that fail to collect taxes properly. The discussion also covered the shortcomings of the existing rules and regulations regarding tax collection. The President was made aware of the issues arising in the tax collection process as well as weaknesses in the recruitment system for excise officers. President Dissanayake noted the public negative perception on excise department and stressed the importance of managing these institutions in a way that supports the coconut country's economy. Officials also briefed the President on challenges in the production and packaging processes, highlighting the negative impact of artificial toddy on the public. Excise Commissioner Rohan Senaratne and several officials were present at this discussion. And meanwhile, there has been an increase in the arrival of foreign tourists to Sri Lanka.
And according to reports, most of the tourist arrivals are being received by Allah in Bandarvela. Generally, an increase is observed in the arrival of foreign tourists at the end of the year. Most of the tourists from European countries arrive in this country with the commencement of the winter season. Most of them prefer to travel Allah in Bandarvela due to the natural and environmental beauty of Allah and its diversity. According to the business community, those tourists who arrived at Allah area this time prefer to engage in adventure sports. Foreign tourists are of the opinion that they select Sri Lanka since the country is considered as a safe tourist destination, and the new renaissance within the country is also a positive factor.
We're in Sri Lanka, come from the north of England. We didn't know what to expect when we got here, but what we have found is the most beautiful country, the friendliest people I think I've ever come across anywhere in the world. Absolutely superb place. We felt safe all the way through, we've been looked after, and it's just a place worth visiting, and we will be back.
And on more local stories this evening, Chairman of the Elections Commission RMAL Rupavahini says that the deadline to hand over the income and expenditure reports of the candidates who contested the general election will end midnight tomorrow. He added that only a very few candidates have submitted their income and expenditure reports to the Elections Commission. Chairman of the Elections Commission RMAL Rupavahini said that out of the 8,361 candidates, only 1,985 candidates have submitted the income and expenditure reports to the Commission by the evening of the 3rd of this month. He said that from 690 political parties and independent groups, 106 groups have submitted the relevant reports at present. He added that there are 527 candidates in the national list and only 57 of them have presented the relevant reports. He further said that the Election Commission cannot extend the deadline at present according to the provisions of the Elections Act number 3 of 2023. He also said that in a clearly stated that those who fail to submit the income and expenditure reports can be punished under the provisions of the Penal Code. The Chairman of the Elections Commission said that under the guidance of the Attorney General, police will take legal actions against the candidates who fail to submit the relevant reports. He said that the relevant returning officers are ready to accept the reports sent by registered post until tomorrow, and he further said that after tomorrow, the Election Commission has no provision to accept the delayed reports.
Now, vanilla plantation, which has a very high demand by now in both local and foreign markets, is being done successfully in Sri Lanka as well. And this has been successful in earning a huge amount of foreign exchange into the country as an export crop. The best vanilla flavor comes from the natural vanilla essence. Vanilla, which is a plantation limited to several countries in the world, is rare too, and artificial vanilla essence is in the market at a percentage of about 95. The crop with a very high demand is being cultivated in Sri Lanka by now. Sri Lanka Vanilla Planters Association has empowered about 400 farmers by now, and their harvest is being purchased at a very high price as well. The crop has been able to earn a large amount of foreign exchange into Sri Lanka by exporting it to Britain, France and a number of European countries.
The Colombo Magistrate Court has released the Administrative Secretary of the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna, Renuka Pereira. He was arrested this morning on an incident of exchanging videos regarding Mahaviru commemoration via Facebook by the Criminal Investigation Department. Officials of the CID visited Kotikawa, the residence of Renuka Pereira, this morning in order to record a statement from him. Later, steps were taken to take him to CID after his arrest. After interrogation, he was taken before the Colombo magistrate. Officials of the CID told the court that the suspect has been taken into custody in connection with exchanging videos pertaining to Mahaviru celebrations in Australia via Facebook. The officials of the CID also informed the courts that such Mahaviru celebrations have not been held in the northern province, and a disturbance has been surfaced among communities due to this incident. After considering the case, the Colombo Additional Magistrate ordered to release the suspect on 2 personal bails of 1 million rupees each. The case has been called for hearing on the 10th of June the next year.
The Bank of Ceylon has donated an ambulance to the Suasaria Foundation. This donation was made under the social welfare project implemented by the Bank of Ceylon. The Bank of Ceylon says that this ambulance was donated with the aim of widening the Suasaria services provided to the people living in rural and semi-urban areas. Governor of the Central Bank, Dr. Nandalal Veerasinghe, Chairman of the Bank of Ceylon, Kavinda de Souza, Chief Executive Officer of the Suasaria Foundation, Sohan de Souza, and several others were present at this occasion.
And now let's move on to some few more local news items in brief. A fire has broke out in the George Stewart building in Colombo Fort this evening. The fire has spread to several stories in buildings, and the fire brigade of the Colombo Municipal Council doused the fire. No person has been affected by the fire. Releasing the water from the Pavakulama tank in Vavuniya for this Maha cultivation season started today. 406,000 hectares of paddy lands will be cultivated under this project. About 5,000 families in the area will have benefits from the release of water. The Pavakulama tank has a water capacity of 27,000 acres feet, and water was released under the patronage of Vavuniya District Secretary P.A. Sarath Chandra. A religious event was held at Adiagalu area today in remembrance of people and the elephants who lost their lives due to human-elephant conflict from the history up to now. It has been organized under the patronage of the chief incumbent of the Unapaduraya temple in Tambulla, Venerable Kumbyangoda Methananda Thera. Stay tuned with international news after this break.
Share the love, share the joy and fun
with everyone.
Season's greetings for a joyous Christmas. Prema Kottumi, Fantamai.
Welcome back and taking a look at your foreign news tonight. South Korean President Yoon Suk Yeol is facing mounting pressure to resign over his failed attempt to impose martial law as Parliament moves closer to a vote on his impeachment. The capital Seoul has seen a second day of street protests demanding Yoon's resignation, while police said he was being investigated for insurrection. The opposition is pushing for a vote on the motion to impeach Yoon on Saturday, even as the president's party has said that they are against it. It needs at least 8 members of Yoon's party to vote for his impeachment for the motion to pass with a 2/3 majority in the 300-seat parliament. South Korea was plunged into political turmoil late on Tuesday night when Yoon made the shock martial law declaration. He cited threats from anti-state forces in North Korea, and however it soon became clear that his move had been spurred not by external threats but by his own domestic political troubles. President Yoon rolled back the declaration 6 hours later after MPs voted it down. Some lawmakers jumped over barricades and fences to get past security forces in order to convene in Parliament and void Yoon's decree. Before his attempt to place the country under military rule, Yoon had been beset by low popularity ratings.
On more foreign stories, French Prime Minister Michel Barnier's government has lost a confidence vote in the National Assembly, depressing the deeply political crisis and raising questions about the country's budget for the next year. A total of 331 legislatures in France's 577-seat lower house of parliament voted to remove 73-year-old Barnier's cremated minority government. Far-left and hard-right opposition parties united to oppose the motion after Barnier used special powers to push through the budget measures without a parliamentary vote. Following the vote, Parliament Speaker confirmed Barnier would not have submit his resignation to President Emmanuel Macron and declared the session closed. He was expected to tender the resignation and that of his government to the president shortly after. His government is France's first to be toppled in no-confidence vote in more than 60 years. Welcome back with your sports update. And Faizwan Lahi Rukumar of Sri Lanka was today able to capture his 100th test wicket in the second test match against South Africa. Today, the first day of the match now been played in South Africa, and South Africa team opted to bat first after winning the toss. And accordingly, added Markram and Tony D. Scotia opened the innings. Tony was out without scoring off the bowling of Atisa Fernando. And then Markram scored 20 runs, whereas Lahiru Kumara was able to capture his wicket. This is the 100th test wicket of Lahiru Kumara, and he is the 9th batsman to have 100 test scalps for Sri Lanka. In the meantime, this has been recorded as the 5th fast bowler to surpass the milestone. And meanwhile, sportspersons who won medals at the 11th Commonwealth Karate Championship arrived in the island this morning.
And a large number of officials, including Sri Lanka Karate Association, were presented to receive them at the Bandaranaike International Airport. Sri Lanka won 14 medals at this tournament, which was held in Durban, South Africa. Players from 23 countries participated in the tournament. Sri Lankan players were able to win 3 golds, 2 silver and 9 bronze medals at this championship. Sri Lankan team, who secured the 3rd place in the 4th World Cup T20 cricket tournament for visually handicapped, also returned to the island last night. In the tournament held in Pakistan, Sri Lanka lost to Bangladesh in the first semi-finals, and Sri Lanka became 3rd in accordance with the points table. A special feature of the tournament has been the Sri Lankan player Samit Sandaruwan winning the award for the player of the B3 group.
And with that sports update, we'll be wrapping up tonight's news. Do just tomorrow at the very same time. I'm Charita signing with Kansani. Stay safe. Good night.
Good night.